welcome back from fresh from the Trollbox, the BitMEX Trader Podcast, together with our CEO Stephan and myself, Ben Uzi. Stephan, this was a very exciting week. We knew it from last week already. We had two big missions. We had our moon mission, and we obviously had the approval of the ETF this week. Lots to talk about. Let's get right into it. How was your week, and how did you trade the ETFs?
Well, as you said, the week was busy. The week was not so much sleep because all the decisions around the ETFs happened during US time, not during Asia time. So getting up a little bit earlier just to follow what's going on. Actually, a lot of trading up and down. I mean, we saw all the rumors, right? I mean, one particular research analyst propagated that SEC will reject all of the applications. Actually, it didn't happen. I mean, yes, you can go against the grain, which sometimes even yields something. But I mean, whatever, we had the dip, right? And then the spike when they approved a little bit of fear in between when SEC got hacked. I mean, not SEC, but their Twitter account, X account, sorry. But that was in a way hilarious in a way. So yeah, and coming back to the moon campaign, yeah, I mean, our Bitcoin launched successfully. Unfortunately, we don't know how it will get to the moon. We will see next week, I guess. It will be decided on what they really can do. But Bitcoin is in space, at least. We achieved
exactly.
This.
Yeah, we've shot it up, and it went up. So I agree. Let's have a quick chat on where we are with the moon mission and the trading competition, and after the discussion on the ETF, I think you mentioned, right? There was obviously a lot of rumors before, and then suddenly there comes the false news on Tuesday evening our time. I think Tuesday morning it was in the US, and the SEC finds out that a 2FA is a very handy thing to have on your Twitter account, I guess. Immediately we see mega movement on the price in both directions, right? Shooting up first to 48 from roughly 46. Then crushing down, testing 44, then sort of stabilizing in 46, and a lot of volume, obviously, on all markets, including on BitMEX, during a very short period of time. But then suddenly, all flat, nothing for the entire day, and a certain level of excitement when the actual approval then came on the next morning, US time, but not too much, actually. I think that the actual ETF approval news was it priced in? Do you think, like, after the spike on the fake news, do you think it was kind of priced in, or was it priced in for a long time already? I don't know. I was very surprised to see so little movement when it actually happened, to be honest.
Yeah, frankly, I mean, just sharing a little bit of personal trading experience. I immediately after the decision went out, I got myself a highly leveraged long position. Actually, I was liquidated then overnight. So yeah, unlucky me, but I wanted to place a bet here. So as you can see, personally, I expected a little bit of price movement. I would have frankly hoped for a push above 50K. At the same time, if you look at all the discussion that was ongoing already, everyone pre-positioned him or herself already, at least in the spot markets, right? I mean, derivatives a little bit different, but on the spot markets, you have seen volumes already. People got into Bitcoin, and people taking profits right now. You saw a lot of trading in the ETFs, right? I mean, we saw like 5.3 billion in trading volume there, so which is quite a lot for spot markets. But then in the end, I guess what happened as well is people went into the thought process. So we have talked about that earlier. ETFs are good for getting Bitcoin, outright Bitcoin exposure for people who are actually not in crypto. Because if you're in crypto, you do it yourself. You just buy a Bitcoin. I mean, you don't need someone to hold your Bitcoin. You can have that in your own wallet, be your own bank, right? It comes at a cost. You need to know how you run your own bank. But in a way, if you're a crypto native guy, you won't buy a Bitcoin ETF, but Bitcoin ETFs will bring new demand to Bitcoin and other crypto assets then later on as well. At the same time, if you then think about it dynamically, probably, and even Arthur spoke about that, those assets will be locked up. They won't be traded anymore going forward, right? So it's like buying once, then it's sitting somewhere at a custodian, and then it just changes hand as paper money via rehypothecation. right? So which might be a second thought where people then who were very excited about it firsthand then said, wait a moment. And so I believe like the demand and supply in a way balanced out. And over time, the big question is how much uptick we will see in the Bitcoin crypto ETFs. Because if we have a growing market for that, so many people that actually don't want to touch crypto themselves, but they want to be exposed to the economic exposure, then we have a constant inflow and then it works again. If it's stable, I guess it's unfortunately a little bit of lost Bitcoin.
Yeah, and lost Bitcoin is one thing. The other one is lost transactions, right? The network needs transactions as it's our incentive for the miners, and obviously helps with an increasing hash rate. So having a network where there is much less transactions might actually be detrimental or not so good for the network itself. Whereas having a network with many unique actors, with many transactions between the unique actors, is desirable for the network and for the price, as it kind of incentivizes miners then to mine more or mine at harder economic conditions if there is a high hash rate and a high activity on the network. And miners, I think, is a good point to quickly touch on the business infrastructure around crypto and the potential rollover from stocks into ETFs. So looking at crypto exchanges, for example, that have been a proxy, looking at mining companies that have been a proxy in the traditional stock markets. What do you think is going to happen to them? Do you think we will see a lot of rollover into the ETFs directly? Do you think because those businesses have a robust business case and obviously are revenue generating in many cases, there'll be still attractive stocks to pick, even though they may no longer be just a proxy for Bitcoin exposure?
Yeah, what happened over the last couple of months basically was that we changed completely the mindset here again. So in the crypto winter, all the crypto related stocks were suffering a lot. Why? Because they are a proxy in a way for the crypto assets or Bitcoin if you're a mining company. But in the end, funnily, it's not a one-to-one proxy like a spot holding, it's a leverage proxy. Why? Because if Bitcoin price goes up, if the rewards go up, you actually participate more than just the price increase or price appreciation of Bitcoin or any other coin, and vice versa. So this means if you have a Bitcoin a volatility like this, you have the correlated stocks to that go like this. And we have been in a phase where they went up. So the big question will be, and everyone who's investing into crypto stocks need to answer the question for him or herself, what is my expectation about volumes and rewards? If we or if you believe there is a positive surprise in the months to come, then you should buy because you basically have a leveraged position. If you think there is negative surprise, you should go short. And if you think there are no news, don't trade it, then go into the asset yourself, right? It's a little bit like with stock markets. If you expect high volatility, just buy stocks of stock exchange companies, right? Because you earn more. Whereas if it's more like, yeah, it's more fundamental analysis, the market is stable for a while, you go into stock picking, but you won't buy stock of a stock exchange. And here it's for me, it's actually the same. So I would say there is still potential because if you look at the price projections and expectations of many people, we expect more to come. It's hopefully not stopping at 48K. So there is still something, but it's again a timing matter. We talked about that earlier. The bull run in terms of pricing started already in March last year for Bitcoin. So it's not a new thing. What we see now are the volumes. And then it's the matter of, I mean, financial markets are about changing expectations. So where are the surprises? And this will be driven by, from my point of view, the ETF demand on the one hand, and on the other end, and this might be a nice lead over what is happening in the rest of the crypto ecosystem. We shouldn't forget Bitcoin is kind of the reserve currency for the whole crypto ecosystem. So a little bit the value is not just dependent on some ETFs and some people using Bitcoin as a means of payment or store of value, but as well how much is happening in the overall ecosystem there, right?
Yeah, there was a running joke in the office this week when we saw ETH pumping, and people say like people are maybe mixing up ETH and EFT. Um,
Wow.
but I don't think it was that. It was clearly a reaction on the roadmap that was shared by Vitalik and the ETH Foundation team earlier this week, actually. And what is obviously a bit the narrative now is, will there be an ETH EFT coming soon,
ETF.
or is it, yeah, ETH, or should we actually not follow that narrative for now? What's your thought there?
I mean, long term, it's always a matter of timing. Long term, I guess this is clear. I mean, if the Bitcoin ETFs will generate a lot of demand from the non-crypto guys, this is the pure question. If they will, other coins and ETFs will follow suit, and they will proliferate into more risky, let's call it risky or volatile assets, right? Which then ETH is the next one. ETH is the second main coin, right? And then you look at Solana and all the others that are coming and even surpassing sometimes ETH already in some way, shape, or form. The thing here is it's a more midterm to long term for me, because Bitcoin was so easy to do as an ETF, especially in the US, because it was clear from the beginning that Bitcoin is not a security. They have clarified that very early on. And I mean, if you look at it, there is no doubt about it. It can't be. For ETH, I mean, whatever we believe, that doesn't matter. But there, it's not that clear, and there is more still a battle what it actually is. And if you look at the underlying use cases of ETH, you could argue it has some security-like characteristics. Maybe it's not really a security, but again, this still needs time until it's done. Because if it's a security, you structure your ETF in a different way, and you need to go for different regulatory approvals. You need to have different investor information. So it's a little bit more complicated. It can be done, but it is a little bit more complicated. If it will classify as non-security, it's easier and it falls into the same space as Bitcoin, but it's not clear yet. So for me, this is a sit and wait. Yes, it will come eventually, but not enough to just rectify or justify a pump in ETH saying, you know what, next week we will have an ETH ETF. I don't think so.
Yeah, so not necessarily an easy next step, right? And talking about easy steps, shall we shift very briefly towards our moon mission?
Yeah,
Doing
please.
things that are not easy. Because yeah, I think many people out there followed the mission, and on Monday, early morning US time, afternoon, rest of the world, I guess, we've seen a magnificent start of our ULA Vulcan rocket. Very exciting. I think any rocket start is very exciting to see, just the big burst of fire. And it went well. We've had no issues during launch. Made it well into space, beyond the Earth. But unfortunately, then a couple of hours later, had reports that there's been a fuel leak on our Astrobotics moon lander, which was where we have our little Bitcoin stored. And if you haven't, or if you wonder what we're talking about, then just rewatch the last episode from last Friday. Check that out. But our little Bitcoin may not make it to the moon. It may live forever in space. We are still kind of waiting for more information from Astrobotics, and hoping to see more information there soon about whether it will make it to the moon without a soft landing, a rather hard landing maybe, or whether it will remain in space and future generations may come across wherever it flies to. We hope we have more news there. That said, our trading competition is ongoing. Obviously, we had 300 million trading volume this week already, so very active. And thanks for everybody that's participating. We invite everybody that is not yet participating to come and join. There is Omega Moon Watchers up for grabs. We have up to $100,000 cash rewards. So I think it's a very exciting, very large competition to trade in. And no matter whether we make it to the moon or not, the competition will be ongoing, and we'll celebrate those winners probably somewhere mid-February.
I mean, for me, it's, as you say, with the trading competition, it's from a narrative perspective for me very positive, because it doesn't matter whether or how actually our Bitcoin reaches that point. Yes, we wanted to see a soft landing on the moon, which would be technically a great thing to achieve, especially for astrobotics, right? I mean, we're just payload for that. But if you look at Bitcoin as such and the symbol, actually it has left the Earth. Even if it will be a hard landing on the moon, it will survive. That's how the coin is structured. So you can still grab it. And even if it doesn't hit the moon, it goes beyond the moon, right? So it's upwards and onwards. And maybe
Exactly.
it will be picked up by some alien somewhere in a couple of thousand years, and maybe they can use it as means of payment when they come back.
Could seed another generation somewhere else, right? Who knows?
Yep.
All right. Exciting. Thank you very much, Stephan. I think overall a very good week. You said a little bit low on the sleeping side. So hopefully a good weekend, and talk next week soon.
Speak to you soon. Bye.